you doing?
Today, I'm prepping my 340 cubic inch engine for my Barracuda. I'm prepping it up, getting it ready for paint. It's gonna look real good.
Looks good already, man.
Yeah.
Wow, you got that thing pretty damn clean. Holy
Yeah, I did.
What color are you making it?
I was thinking about making it silver. That's what I'm gonna be doing.
That's what it was before, right?
Yeah, that's what
Years
it was.
ago.
Yeah.
That's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
It's gonna look good. It's gonna look good.
Yeah. You wanna see what I got in the mail today?
What you got?
Come here. Check it out. I got Dorman freeze plugs. 1 5/8 and 1 1/4. Believe it or not, Dorman makes parts for old cars and new cars. A lot of people didn't know that. But yeah.
Actually, they have a lot of stuff that fits the old cars.
A lot.
Because those are really common sizes, as a matter of fact.
GM cars, everything. Now, I'm going to
But what do you need the smaller ones for?
Well, the smaller ones, look. The smaller ones go in the head.
Oh, yeah, there's some smaller holes. That's right.
You know what I mean? And then the bigger ones go in the block.
Cool.
Now, I'm going to paint the engine first, and then put the freeze plugs in. It'll give it a lot more detail.
It will look sharp. Yeah, more professional looking. Some people paint over them, and that's fine too. I've done that too before.
It's fine, but it's just the look of them will just give it a lot more detail, and it's just more nostalgic looking.
More to look at.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Hey, what are you gonna do? Just a lot of people use those with no sealant.
Yes, it's very important to put. I mean, it'll still work. Don't get me wrong.
I've actually installed them with no seal.
It'll still work fine, but
Yeah.
when I put them in, usually what I do, I put the freeze plugs in the freezer because it shrinks the metal like a 32nd of an inch. This way it's easier to put them in. I mean, don't get me wrong, even if you don't shrink them, they'll still go in. Maybe it'll be a little harder, right? But when I freeze the freeze plugs, when I put them in, I put the special sealant that goes around it. And if you, let's say you don't, maybe it'll work, but what if it leaks? You gotta yank the engine back out?
That happens a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to go through that again.
You know,
the engine back out, you might scratch it.
A lot of times they used to rebuild engines and they didn't used to change the freeze plugs. And it would happen that all of a sudden, because the movement of the, I don't know what would cause it, you get like a pinhole of rust. And the backside of the and on the backside or whatever the case may be, you gotta pull the whole engine out. So always change them. If you're doing an engine rebuild, never leave the old ones. It's not worth it.
Let's say that does happen, and you have to do the freeze plugs again because they leak or something like that, and you have to yank the engine back out. What if you scratch it?
Well, that's the thing. On an old car, you go through all this trouble to paint it, and then all of a sudden you gotta pull the engine back out.
And let's say we're gonna go as crazy as the Barracuda. We're gonna paint the engine compartment, right?
Yeah. There's
What
always
if you
risk.
scratch that? You know what I mean? So you gotta be so meticulous on anything that when you do to an engine. You know what I mean?
Don't take chances.
At
For
all.
what they cost, just change
Just
them.
change them.
Put them in, and then you don't have to worry.
Actually, a couple of years ago, one of our freeze plugs was this freeze plug right here. That was leaking antifreeze, and there was no way we were replacing it where it was, and the subframe was in the way to replace it. So we got this rubber thing. I don't know what it's called. If you guys know what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments. I don't know what it's called. It's something that goes into the freeze plug hole, right? There's like a 1/2 inch nut in front of it, and when you tighten that, it expands.
Like squeezes.
It squeezes itself into the hole. But you know what the problem is with that? It doesn't do a freeze plug's job. They don't pop out. It's just going to stay in.
You mean if it builds up ice inside?
If it builds up ice inside, it's not going to pop out. So that's why you physically need the freeze plug. You know what I mean?
But for a quick fix, it did work.
It did, but...
But the right way is get the Dorman freeze plugs, put them in, and that's it.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Looks good.
Yeah, it does. Just finished taping out a couple of things and get it ready for paint.